Hi, my name is Linda Halloran. I'm the Community Engagement Manager with Town & Country Federal Credit Union, and want to thank you for joining us tonight for this virtual financial wellness workshop on being cyber smart to protect your money. We all know that news stories about data breaches, ATM machine skimming, phishing scams, and all sorts of other surprises when it comes to cybersecurity are all too common. In fact, cyber attacks are very costly. In 2020, identity fraud cost Americans a total of $56 billion, with about 49 million consumers falling victim to some kind of breach. And you're here tonight to find out what you can do to help avoid this and not fall victim to one of these cyber attacks. So tonight we have invited two experts from Town & Country to talk about some of the latest cyber threats and scams that are out there and things that you can do to protect yourself, your personal identity, and financial information. You'll hear from Heidi Hawks, who's Town & Country's Member Relationship Manager, and Michael MacGyver, the Credit Union's Information Technology Manager. So without further hesitation, I'll turn it over to Heidi and Mike.
As Linda had said, my name is Heidi Hawks. I am our Member Relationship Manager here at Town & Country. I have been here at the Credit Union going on 22 years. A majority of my time here at the Credit Union has been in the realm of contact center, card services, e-commerce, digital banking, and contact center. So I've dealt many years in fraud and loss mitigation on the plastic card and payment side.
And I am Michael MacGyver, and it is MacGyver, not MacGyver, even though I've heard MacGyver so many times over the years in IT. I've been with Town & Country for 16 years now. I was with the main Credit Union League, a service bureau, for 20 years prior to that. I've actually been in the IT field since 1981. So I've seen a few changes over the years and actually seen all of this wonderful stuff with malware and everything start from the very beginning. So I'm going to start off here with just a few things that I'm going to cover. A couple of them are Wi-Fi best practices, patching your computer systems and your iOS devices, your phones and your tablets, antivirus and malware protection, the Internet of Things, which has really come a long way in the past few years, and email best practices. So Wi-Fi best practices. We all go out there and we get these new Wi-Fi routers that we put into our home, or actually, in a lot of cases, Spectrum will put them into your home for you. Biggest thing to do on these is when you first put them is to change that admin password on the router. It comes with a default admin password in it, and first thing I do when I'm trying to help somebody out is I will just Google what is a default admin password for this particular model of the Wi-Fi router, and there it is. Several different sites. So for your protection on that one, the best thing to do is just to change that admin password. Also on your home network, on your SSID, it's called, the thing you broadcast the name of your network, change that name and password as well. Even if somebody has provided that to you, they've got it documented somewhere maybe. So you want to have your own personal information in there on that. Also, most of the routers will have a security encryption available on them. I think WPA2 is the best available on most of the modern routers. You can select it when you're setting the router up. The next one I'm going to suggest with a caveat. It says make sure you use a firewall. Firewalls can be very tricky. If you really don't know what you're using with the information that you choose to block, when it gives you a pop-up on the screen, you can totally cut yourself off from the internet very easily. So I suggest you use those only if you really know how to use a firewall. Speaking to Wi-Fi best practices, a lot of us, we haven't so much in the past year traveled, but a lot of us do travel. Or we go to McDonald's or Dunkin' Donuts or someplace else and get on the internet. Suggestion there, really, if you're going to do anything with your accounts, do not use the unsecured public Wi-Fi network. Most of us on our phones have unlimited data plans, and if we do, hotspot your phone and then connect to that hotspot on your phone and use its network to do your transactions. That way you're on a protected network that's more private. Whereas the unsecured networks that are in Starbucks or in some of those places, sometimes it could be somebody just there with their own hotspot, and they can put out a name that looks like it belongs to that business, and you connect to that, and then they can run some what they call network sniffers and get your information off there. Physical location of your router in your home can make a difference. I mean, not that many people. Some of us live remote, but some of us live close to other people. So you'll notice in the first example on the left over here, the router is located on an outside wall, close to the street. So the coverage can go out into the street. So somebody could just sit out here and actually just try to hack into your router and use your router for an internet connection. If you put it in the center of your home, it will also give you better coverage in your home, and at the same time, it will pull that radius in a little bit so it's not sitting out there. Somebody could still get on your front lawn, but I think you might notice them at that point. Patching, very, very critical patching. Actually, I was just reading today that the Microsoft Tuesday, we call it once a month, Microsoft puts out all of their patches for the month. This month, it is going to fix 55 different bugs. So it's very important that you patch all of your equipment. It's basically, it's a set of changes to a computer program or supporting data and to fix or improve the program, and also to cover up any security holes that might be noticed out there. Again, Windows updates, I can hear a collective groan. I'm the same as you. Every month it comes out, and excuse me, Windows processes the updates on your computer, and then when you reboot the next time, you have to sit there and wait forever, it seems, while it counts down that it's installing the patch. You can watch it go 1%, 2%, 3%, 4%. Again, tedious, but very important. If you don't update your devices, then those security patches aren't applied on them. Also, iOS and Android security updates. Most of the devices that you have will automatically announce when there is one available. Some of you have your settings to automatically do it. I don't. I have it announced to me so that I can put it in when I'm ready for it, not so that it just does it random during the day at some point in time. Again, those are security patches that are put in there to enhance the security of the device and protect you online. App updates, again, we use Adobe Reader. Java is not so prevalent as it used to be, neither is Flash. HTML5, which is the new programming software that they use for most of the websites now, doesn't require those two, but some of the older places still do. So we want to make sure that we patch those. We use a product at the credit union, actually, that's called Night.com. Very silly name. When the person that works with me came up with it and introduced it to me, I kind of laughed. But it's a very, very robust and cool program for the free version. You can just go down through here and you can see there's multiple things that you can patch. You can just click off what you want to patch. It will download the patches and then apply it to your computer for you. Antivirus and malware protection. As you can see on the left, since 2012, the number of total malware infections out there have increased dramatically. As you can see, each year exponentially gets higher. 2021 to date is over 1.2 billion. In my position, over the years, of course, I have a lot of family and friends that actually want me to set up computers for them. So I will set up the computers, and I always used to use different antivirus programs. Sophos was one of them, and there was a predecessor to that, I think was Avast, and there's been a few others. As a network professional, we used to actually scoff at Microsoft products. When it first came out, they were really laughable, and they really did not do much to protect your devices. Microsoft over the years, though, has spent billions of dollars in R&D and ratcheting down their security. They have multiple what they call blue and red teams that try to hack each other every day, look for vulnerabilities, and then make sure they patch them. So with Windows 8, Windows 10, and Windows 11 that just has come out, they have a free Microsoft Defender antivirus that runs on it. And you can actually use that, and when the updates come out once a month, Microsoft also updates that antivirus protection with the new signature files that will protect against the new viruses that have come out. It also allows you, if you want to use your own antivirus software, you can install that on top of Windows Defender. And in the note, you'll notice that it will disable its own Windows Defender when you put in a third-party antivirus so that they won't conflict with each other. But if you want to install that third-party protection, then Windows 10 will automatically turn its protection back on. So again, that's something that's free with Microsoft, and it has some functionality in there where you can actually customize what you want to block and not block. Macs, everybody always says, I don't need an antivirus. But if you don't feel comfortable with antivirus, I did a little research and found that Avira is the best that's out there, and it's a free one, and it provides real-time malware protection, anti-phishing, and malicious website filtering, Again, most people at the Mac feel they don't have to do this, but I will say when there is a vulnerability that comes out in the Mac, and I think the last one I remember was in 2019, it's just massively goes out there because nobody has protection, and it will infect those machines. In the beginning, I mentioned the Internet of Things has come a long way. As we all know, if you go out now and go shopping for a new refrigerator, it will be well, not all of them, but some of them will be smart refrigerators, which means it will actually be on your wireless network at home. You have Alexa, which is also on your wireless internet at home. A gentleman that works with me just bought a new a water heater last year, and that also, believe it or not, had the capability to be on the internet. You have a smart thermostats in your home. Everything is getting smart and getting on the network. So those all have firmware in them, and that firmware is actually the software that powers that device. Those will get stale as well. Those will also have vulnerabilities that are discovered over time. So you want to make sure that you can check out on the internet for that device to see if they have firmware updates periodically. And if they do, it's usually fairly easy to download that and put it on the device. You want to check your default settings on those devices when you get them, and make sure you disable whatever you don't need. Again, universal plug and play on these devices is something you don't need. That's something where you can plug in the device into your computer and it will just work. And this last bullet, consider the cost. When it comes to Internet of Things devices, cheaper is not necessarily better, although we all like to find bargains, but sometimes cheaper does not give you the functionality to be able to upgrade the firmware or to make these devices safe. And we'll move on to the fun one, email security. Email, as I said, I've been in this business since 1981. The first email actually was sent in 1971, I believe. But it was basically on a like a mainframe computer type of thing. When I first started in the business, everything was basically mainframe computers and what we call dumb terminals. Only dumb terminals is because they didn't have any compute power. They just connected to the mainframe computer that was located across town or across the country. So viruses were not that prevalent. It was actually I want to say 1980s, late 1980s, early 1990s, that email basically became the prevalent platform for communications. And that's when people started developing these malware infections and viruses and worms. The actual first mass mailing virus was called a Melissa virus, and that was in 1999. And then there was another one that came out in 2000 that was called the Love Letter. Some of you have probably heard that one. That was a tough one. I was working at a service bureau at the time, and of course, we didn't have any such thing as antivirus software. Nobody had even considered it or heard of it at that point in time. So this one came out as a email that said, "I love you," in the subject. And I don't know how they did it, but they always managed to come up with some young lady's name who was in the organization. And especially in the data processing world at that point in time, it was unfortunately a boys' club. And when people saw this, "I love you," they immediately opened it. And when they opened it, there was an attachment there that said, "I love you.txt" with a .vbs on the end of it. The VBS extension or an EXE extension is actually a program that will run on your computer, and it would run on the computer, infect that computer, then go out and infect the devices on the network. Unfortunately, I remember that day to this day because every time I got it cleaned up off of the network and off of the mainframe, somebody else would click on it, because if you get two emails, one from the IT guy that says, hey, don't do this, or one that says, I love you, which one are you going to click on first? So that was kind of the beginning of awareness for all of us in the IT field, that, okay, we're going to have to start building some defenses against this stuff. So from that point forward, we have over the years developed many different layers of defenses against this type of activity. If you want to consider it a castle, then we put in multiple unscalable walls and moats and crocodiles, etc. But is it totally unbreakable? No. If somebody really wanted to spend the time, they could probably break through it. However, most of the people that are out there that are hackers and these people that are trying to make money, they go for the low-hanging fruit. They want the easy stuff. They want to spend time because they want to be able to just get what they need, move on, and sell it. So as a result, they have said, well, since we can attack these people, we'll go after the weak links. And the weak links, unfortunately, are us. So basically what they do is they send out these malicious emails to people trying to get them to click on links. And if they click on these links, then they can infect that machine and therefore get to all the other machines inside that castle. At this point, basically, it's all, I don't want to oversell this, they're basically going after us. And they want to get the quick information. Usually it is usernames and passwords, or just usernames and email addresses so that they can sell them as mailing lists to other people, or use them for phishing. And they sell these on the dark web and make profit and move on. So any email that you see that comes in, basically it says here you want to report all suspicious emails. This, I would say, you can't really, there's nothing you can report to, basically, if you're at home. But you can go and report it as junk mail or, other mail in the Outlook, and it will always take those from that point forward and put them in the junk mail folder so you don't see them anymore. If you get an email that's from an unknown sender or with unknown content, or it's an unsolicited something or other trying to sell you things, just delete them. A lot of people over the years have said, okay, I go out to my email, and if I see it and I don't want it, or it's unsolicited, I go down and I click on unsubscribe. Don't do that. Basically, if you do that, you're telling the person who sent that they've reached a valid email account and they've verified that you own that account. So just delete it, mark it as spam, or move it off to another folder. If you see any email that has an attachment that ends with the exe, scr, .bat, .com, or any other file that you don't recognize, just delete it. Don't open it. Again, if it's an exe attachment, that can actually run a program on your computer. And what will happen sometimes is it'll run a computer or a program on a computer, and the computer won't even act wonky or anything at that point in time, but they have put something in there that allows them to control your machine. And they can control it down the road, or they can control it right away. It's up to you. Oh, and I got ahead of myself on the do not unsubscribe. It's much easier to delete that email than to deal with security risk. If there's any embedded links in the messages, don't click on them without first checking that URL. If you hover over any URL in an email, usually it will display a little tips window, and you can see in that window what the URL or what the link is that it's trying to go to. And if you don't recognize that link, then don't click on that link and just delete the email. And again, don't respond or reply to spam in any way. That just validates that email address, and it gives them a valid email address to sell to somebody else. This infographic is a little bit busy, but it basically is one that we've actually used in the organization as part of our training program. And it basically highlights the things that you should be keying on in any email that you receive. And you're from, if you don't recognize a sender's email address or somebody that you don't ordinarily communicate with, just delete it and move on. If it's from outside your organization, it's not related to your, if it's not related to you in any way, or you don't recognize who that person is that's sending to you, just delete the If it's from a suspicious domain like mycoresoftsupport.com, delete it, and you'll notice the misspelling in that. Instead of Microsoft, it was MyCoreSoft. But our brains are just so conditioned to read things quickly that we look at that and, hey, that's MicrosoftSupport.com. So you need to kind of slow down and look at it before you click it. If you're CC'd on an email that's sent to more than one person and you don't know the CCs that are in that email, in other words, if you see 10 people that were CC'd on that email and there's somebody that you don't know, that's a pretty good indicator that email is coming from somebody's hacked account and they've gotten their email address book and they've mailed it to other people. Hyperlinks, as I said, in other words, you want to look at these links. If you hovered over it, it will actually show you, because a lot of these links now will have it may say click here instead of www.bankofamerica.com. But if you hover over it, just put your mouse over. I can't, example in this case, put your mouse right there. It will actually display a window that shows you what the link is. And in this link, you'll see right here that it says Bank of America, not America, but it's really close. So again, you have to slow down and really think before you click on these. And if it's unsolicited, again, just don't click on it. If it comes from, if it has a date in here that shows a time of like 3 p.m. or 3 a.m., for example, and it's something that you normally wouldn't get, or it's a very unusual time, that's another indicator. Sometimes you'll get emails that will have the subject that is totally unrelated to the body of the email. Attachments, again, if it comes from somebody and it has an attachment you were not expecting, just don't open it. Again, here it says any attachment is a possibly dangerous file type. The only file type that is always safe to click on is a .txt file. That is just a plain text file, and that can't run anything on your computer. So PDFs are one that, unfortunately, there's a lot of infections in them nowadays, but a lot of people send PDFs for different forms. So you really need to make sure that it's coming from a valid sender. If the sender is asking you to click on a link or open an attachment to avoid some kind of a negative consequence or gain something of value, that's probably an indicator that they're trying to get you to click on somebody. If it has very bad grammar or spelling errors, you will not see this that much anymore. Anybody that works with me will attest to the fact we send out phishing test emails, and we also get a lot of phishing emails, and they look very professional nowadays. They've gotten very good at this, and they're really hard to spot. If you have an uncomfortable feeling about it, again, just delete it. I look at it this way. If it's something I feel that it really isn't valid, I'll delete it. And if the person that's trying to get a hold of me and really wants to get a hold of me, they'll try another method of doing so. And by that, I'm going to let Heidi take over here with some scams and fraud.
So scams and fraud. We're going to talk about some common scams that people may see or hear about, some red flags, how to avoid them, what to do if you're a victim, identity theft, and some just tips and tricks on how to protect your money in general. So common scams, this kind of fits into Mike's emails. These are things that you are apt to get via email, phone call, text. So one of the most common ones right now that have been going around is in regards to your device or your computer needs urgent attention. Typically, you're going to get that via a phone call, or phishing is how they refer to it. They're going to call you. They're going to say they're calling from Microsoft, and that you have a virus, or they've been notified that you have an issue with your computer. First and foremost, Microsoft does not know who you are. These people are going to claim they do, but they don't. Microsoft does not know who we are as individuals. So that's your first red flag. The second one is they're going to want control of your computer, and they're going to want to have you log into different accounts or different places, and they're going to watch what you're doing. And at some point, they're going to want to get paid for the repair that they're not doing to your computer. This payment is going to come in the form of you giving them your card or payment information, your card information, your account information, Or most recently, they're wanting you to go out and purchase gift cards from a local store and provide them with those gift card numbers. Once you have purchased those gift cards, you have then accepted the purchase, and there's nothing your financial institution can do to help you recover that money. And that's what the fraudsters have figured out, is what is the path of least resistance and how are we going to get this money and cause the most damage? And they're going to have you purchase these gift cards because you've received the goods or services in the purchase of the gift card, and you've given the gift card numbers over the phone to the fraudsters, and in turn, the money is not recoverable at that point. Charity scams, same thing. They're calling, they're going to want you to donate. They're going to tug at your heartstrings and try to give you money, or have you give them money for a charity that doesn't exist. Another one is commonly referred to as the grandparents scam, in which they're calling and they're calling our older members and our grandparents. The people are pretending to be the grandchildren somehow through voice technology. They're sounding very much like a frightened grandchild. They would sound very much like your own grandchildren in these situations. And they'll give you a very good story that they're in lots of trouble, and you cannot by any means share that they're in trouble with anyone. Otherwise, they will get into more trouble, that they're in jail or they're going to be in jail, and this attorney needs money in order to help them. They are very, very good at creating fear, and it's very difficult to recognize that. I've spoken to many people that have fallen victim to that scam, and I've managed to fortunately save a few from falling victim. But in the end, hang up the phone, call your grandchild, call the person, call your niece or your nephew, call whoever it is that they claim they are, using a number that you have for them already, and you'll typically find that they're not in trouble. Deals that look too good to be true. Facebook is a really good one for that. You're scrolling through Facebook and you see something that you've been looking for, a new microwave, a new refrigerator, a new pair of shoes, something that typically would cost you a lot of money, and all of a sudden this deal is a great deal. It's half the price or a third of the price of what you've been looking at. Those are typically going to take you out to a site and you'll never get the merchandise. You're going to pay for something and you'll never get the merchandise, or you'll get something that you didn't order. It's just too good to be true. Debt consolidation scams, you've won the lottery, urgent requests for money, Craigslist scam. We don't see that as much as we used to, but it still exists. So all of the same. They're all the same idea. They're playing to your weaknesses and trying to get you to bite. Phishing, which is your email scams. Smishing is your text scams. Vishing is phone call scams. So texting is a new way to reach people versus an email. They've figured out we're catching on. We're catching on to what they're doing via email.
This is an example. I just actually received this today, and it came to my phone. It was in the form of a text, and the text came from this number, which is a main number, and it said a utility bill notice, and in here they had correct my address, correct street address. Can't even talk this evening, sorry. And then it had payment adjustment available, next steps, and both of these links that were in these next steps were underlined, obviously, and trying to get me to click on them. I went out and did some research on the links and found that both of those resolved to a site in Iceland. Why was I suspicious on this? Because it was totally unsolicited and out of the blue. And there was actually no mention of my local utility provider. It just said utility bill notice. Did not say CMP, did not say Unitil or anything on there. So obviously the curiosity thing to do in this situation is to click on the link. Just don't, because then they may have gotten you already. Just delete this text.
I have the account in my household for all of the cell phones in my household. At one point, they were getting the users were getting text messages. The other phone people in the household were getting text messages that they could get a rebate on their AT&T bill. And I quickly got a bunch of messages from my family saying, "Hey, is this real? Is this true? Can we get a rebate? And you pay the bill. Why am I getting this?" And I advised them that it was a smishing attempt. They were trying to get them to click on that link and to just please delete the text. It wasn't real. So that is one of those newer forms of obtaining your information and getting you to fall for a scam. So not only do we have the email scams and the phone call scams, they're now changing their ways and moving into text messaging. My guess is there's going to be newer, more creative ways as time goes on, as we continue to move to more social media, whether we move to Insta or Snapchat or any of those other things. They will find a way to get us there as well. So you're always going to want to be on the alert and paying attention to what it is that's being presented to you. So how to spot and avoid scams? One thing to remember is it's okay to delete an email, ignore a text, or hang up on a call. If any one of those things are legitimate, they will try again, but you do not have to answer any one of these things. If somebody is calling and being pushy, threatening, hang up. You don't have to talk to them. Does it sound too good to be true? Is it unsolicited? Then those are all red flags. What can you do? Ask more questions. Call them back at a number that's published. Do not ask them what phone number they should be called back on. Go online, use your resources, and call them back at a number that's known to the public or known to you if it's a family member or a friend. Read your reviews, do your research, making sure that it's a legitimate site and it's not some foreign entity that isn't really going to send you something. And don't click links. Go to the websites. Go directly to the providers' sites themselves. Avoid the links in Facebook. If you're really curious about something that's being sold on Facebook, go research the company separate from Facebook. Avoid the link within the social media channels.
Or if they're trying to say that there's been fraud on your account, you need to contact them. You do get alerts from some people. However, you still want to verify, and in that case, I will not respond to that text. I will actually go log into my account and see if there's anything on my account that's wrong. And 9 times out of 10, it is not valid.
Okay, so now what? I fell for it. It happens. Don't worry. Everybody falls for it at some point in time. Lots of people do. It's easy to do. So first of all, don't panic. It's okay. We would rather you call us. So then that's where you contact your financial institution. Let us help you figure out what information may or may not have been compromised. What did you provide? What didn't you provide? Did you hang up before you gave anybody information? Did you delete the text message? Did you delete the email? Did you reply to it? Did you click on the links? We're going to ask you a lot of questions. It's not to pass judgment. It's to help determine what information, if any, has been compromised and what needs to be done. So then you're going to go ahead and check your accounts, make sure they're accurate. Just like Mike was saying, make sure that your transactions are recognizable. Are they legitimate transactions? Did you do them? Are there any sort of authorizations that are pending that aren't yours? And then if indeed you have provided information and you feel confident your data has been compromised, then you're going to want to verify your credit report data. You're going to look for new trade lines and inquiries. One way to keep an eye on that is to go ahead and set up your alerts from a reputable credit monitoring service. There's several out there that are free. You can set up credit report monitoring from Savvy Money, which is offered here at Town & Country through online banking, or through Credit Karma. That's another great resource to be able to monitor your credit for inquiries and send you alerts if for some reason a new trade line's opened or an inquiry has been established on your credit report. Some cases, we may recommend you contact the police depending on what information they've compromised and what they've done. So identity theft, what is it? Identity theft is when somebody has actually obtained your name, date of birth, social security number, address, all the things that they would need to obtain to set up a new credit line or open up new accounts in your name. That is, in a nutshell, what identity theft is. And that's how credit reports are taken over and how people get new trade lines opened. Account takeovers are a little bit different. That's when somebody has enough information to actually start using existing accounts that are in your name. They can contact, financial institutions and get enough information to be able to start using your online banking credentials, whether they do it via one of these phishing or smishing calls, or or emails where that you provide them with your online banking and financial institutional credentials, then at that point they can take over the account and start sending payments out on your behalf, using your accounts on your behalf.
Unfortunately, in a lot of cases, what they can do there is they can actually change the password and totally freeze you out of your account.
Yes, exactly. So that's the difference between identity theft and an account takeover. Identity theft is when they open up new trade lines and start using new accounts and pretend to be you. And an account takeover situation is they've taken over existing accounts. And lots of times they're able to take those accounts over because we have given them enough information to do so. They have you on the phone, you have your two-factor authentication set up. They say, well, I need that code that was just sent to you so that I can go ahead and deposit a check into your account, or I can send you money. And in turn, you're giving them full access to your accounts by doing so. And then they can go in and change their login credentials and all of that. And then you have to work with your financial institutions to get all of that taken care of. Typically, you end up having to close those accounts and open new ones because they're able to see enough account information. Should I freeze my credit? Those are decisions that each individual has to make. It depends on if true identity theft has been identified. If you are truly a victim of identity theft, yes, I feel that you should freeze your credit. If you may have been a victim of identity theft, then you may want to take another option and go ahead and set up some credit monitoring where you get alerts when there's inquiries or new trade lines set up. You can stop those fairly quickly when you get the alerts for inquiries. If you choose to freeze your credit report, that's fine, and you will get a PIN number or a passcode that you would then contact the bureaus if you had to unfreeze your credit. So if for some reason you wanted to go get a new car loan or a new credit card or open up a new account somewhere else, then you would go ahead and have to unfreeze that credit in order to do so. So those are options that you have to decide personally. If I'm looking to buy a house or I'm looking to buy a car right away, I may not want to freeze my credit because then I have to unfreeze it in order for those inquiries. I may just want to monitor my credit. So those are options that you have with that.
Speaking as someone who has frozen the credit, they have made that very easy for you to do nowadays. It used to be a very tedious process and it was lengthy. It would take some time for it to happen. You can go in now, she said, with a PIN number or the right credentials and unfreeze it, and it will unfreeze it immediately.
So it's definitely becoming easier, but there are steps that you have to take if you want to unfreeze it. So how to protect your money. This kind of gives us a recap on some of the other things that you can do. You're going to research your merchants, be aware of subscription-based purchases, read the fine print. This is a really big one that people fall for a lot now is I can get this product and only pay shipping. I am going to go get, a diet subscription or something like that. And I'm going to just pay shipping. I'm going to just try out these new vitamins and just pay shipping. And if you don't contact them and cancel within their very limited time frame, they are going to charge you full price for the product they sent you because they didn't send you a trial offer. They sent you the full product and you didn't cancel. So now they're going to collect it for that full product. And very shortly thereafter, you're going to have another charge for a full product because you're now on a subscription-based purchase. So you're going to want to make sure to read the fine print before you click on those links. Free shipping or just pay shipping typically means there's more to it. So really make sure you understand. Social media quizzes, oh boy, are those fun. But all of the answers to all of those questions are answers to questions that are typically there to help you recover your credentials, or out of wallet questions for other security-based questions and things like that. So be careful with these social media quizzes. While they're fun to answer, they're giving the fraudsters something, they're giving them meat, they're giving them information about you.
Right, in most cases, they're very benign and you don't really think it's getting any information from you, but if it says click on your birth month or your birth year, or so on and so forth, then it's getting information that can be used for security questions when trying to hack into any of their accounts. So hate to spoil people's fun, but I really stay away from them only for that reason.
Yeah, I agree. We do need some way to identify you when you're calling in over the phone. And so if you're out there giving out that information in those security quizzes, it sure does make it more difficult for us to identify who it is that we're talking to on the phone. Get your mail set up so as much of it's being received electronically and not through the post office. Mailboxes are getting broken into and mail is getting stolen on a regular basis now. So make sure that, if you don't need to get that mail in the mail and you can pay your bills electronically instead of using a stamp and sending that check in the mail, do so. It's just one less way for people to get a hold of your information. Monitor your accounts, set up your account alerts. Like Mike said, he gets alerts if there's potential fraud. Yes, he follows up on those alerts, maybe not by responding to the text or really reading the text message thoroughly, making sure you understand what the financial institution is going to send you for information. Log into your accounts, make sure you're watching for transaction activity. And like I said, the transaction alerts on all of your cards and accounts, you're spending best. We can only, as a financial institution, monitor for anomalies and things that might look out of the ordinary, but what you spend. Check them over carefully. Small dollar transactions are really the ones that you want to watch the most carefully because those are indicators of trying your accounts and your cards for small dollar transactions to see if the card is valid. A valid card is worth way more money to a fraudster than a card that they're not sure about. So when they go to sell these accounts on the black market, if they're able to verify the card is a good card number, they're going to be able to sell that card for a lot more money. Keeping your contact information with your financial institution and creditors up to date, really important because we can't send you those alerts and we can't call you or speak to you if we don't know how to reach you. And then as Mike went over, you've got to patch everything, change your default passwords, use caution with email, use a firewall if you know how to use it, antivirus and malware protection. Have fun and be safe with the Internet of Things devices. They're a lot of fun. I like my Alexa, but I definitely keep it protected and locked down so we can just use it here at home. Change your passwords frequently and use a password manager or and make sure that your two-factor authentication is set up. Mike, do you want to get into kind of that two-factor stuff in the password manager? I know we have some more information coming about that.
Yep. Two-factor authentication, again, a lot of people moan about it and don't like it, but I've actually timed it because I have it set up on almost all of my sites. Any site that has a username and a password, usually these days will offer you the MFA option, multi-factor authentication. There's two ways of doing it, actually a couple ways of doing it, but they can either send you a text to your cell phone, or they can send you an email to your email account, or they can actually call a home phone if you don't have a cell phone, and provide you with a code, and you can put that code in when you're trying to log into that account. They also have, Google Authenticator has an app called Google Authenticator that you can put on your phone, and you can put in all the different sites. You can link it to the different sites, and it will have a code on there that regenerates every 30 seconds, I think it is. And you will look on your device and say, okay, this is for my Amazon account, and I find that code and I put it into the screen I'm trying to log into, then it will verify my multi-factor authentication. Again, seems tedious. Once you get used to it, it's an extra layer of protection. Can it be hacked? It can, but it's very hard for them to do it. So, I mean, it's just a very quick and easy way to protect yourself when you're logging into your accounts. I put this slide in only because NIST, which is the National Institute of Standards and Technology, is kind of the de facto go-to for all organizations for guidance for security, cybersecurity. They're the ones that came up with years ago having the 8-character password with one uppercase, one lowercase, one number, one. They're going away from that now. They're saying that rather than do that and having to change your password frequently, because a lot of people are guilty of, and I'm sure I have been in the past, of when I'm making up that password with the characters and stuff in it, I will use either my children's name or birth dates or something that's familiar. And a lot of the password crackers are aware of that nowadays. They will look at a password that's like $, that's a frequent one that people will use. So basically, I'll play this. It says 81% of the breaches are either from stolen or weak passwords. So what they're suggesting now is don't rely on your passwords alone. turn on the multi-factor authentication, as I just spoke to. Very simple to do, and it's a very simple process, and it will protect you with an extra layer of logging into your account. Even if somebody has your username and password, if they don't have that cell phone number, they won't be able to get that code. And they're saying, now use a phrase with multiple words in it. See if I can catch this and stop it in time. Okay. I actually, because I'm an administrator, have to have at least a minimum of a 15-character password. Well, these you can do much more than 15 characters. You can just make up nonsensical nouns. We suggest you don't use things that you commonly say, like a lot of people used to use Tom Brady or their dog's name or something. But if you make up something nonsensical like graceful elephant dance 2, it's foolish, but it's got a space in there, and that is a very hard, long passphrase to crack. And if it's something that you can very easily remember, then just do that. It makes it easier, and obviously, than trying to do, hashtag 3, 2, A, lowercase x, and so on. So this is what they're kind of suggesting that we do now. Our examiners are a little bit hesitant to adopt this, but I think it will be adopted over time with most of the auditing firms and examiners that this is the way we should go. Again, by doing this, you don't have to change your password quite as frequently, and it makes it very secure. Again, protect your most important accounts, like your banking accounts and your primary email. Give each one of them a unique passphrase. And we're all saying, how the heck do I do that? Well, password managers are very helpful, and there's several of them on the market nowadays. We use one at the credit union. It's actually called, I'll leave this here for just a second if anybody wants it. You can actually go to the NIST site to get more information if you want. Most of it's very technical, so I usually gloss over this pretty quickly. But we use the Lastpass at our organization, and it really, really helps. You don't have to remember your password. It does it for you. I went through several different sites and different IT pro sites and different reviews, and I was looking for the best free password managers. There are a plethora of paid ones out there, but I really wanted to highlight the free ones because most of us really don't want to spend money for this, but we want to have some protection. So basically what a password manager does for you is it will take a master password that you create, and you put that in your login credentials. So when you log into it, you use the master password. Then underneath that, all of your passwords that you use on any site after that are stored in a database that can only be accessed by that master password. It cannot be accessed by the company that you're using this software from. They have no access to this information. They are all encrypted, and they can be as long or as short as you want. I know, for example, using Lastpass, I've gone out there on several sites and I've made it say 25 characters, make it complex. So it's got uppercase, lowercase numbers and symbols, and it will feed it into the site for you. It will store it in the password manager software. So now when I go to that site online and I click on login, it has a little number there that represents, okay, you have this in Lastpass. So I will click on it, and it will show me the site that I'm trying to autofill in here. Click on autofill, and it will put that password and the username in there for me. I don't have to remember it. That way, I can use a unique, secure password for each and every one of my sites. I'm not reusing the same password, which we all tend to do. And what happens in that particular case, if they get a hold of that one password, then they have access to almost all of your accounts. So the first one, this is classified as the best overall free password manager. This one's called Bitwarden. I actually am looking for something other than Lastpass. I will explain later as they get to Lastpass. They've changed their business model on their free accounts lately, so I'm looking for another one to use. Unfortunately, because I actually got my wife to start using Lastpass, which I for many years tried to get her to do it. Excuse me, because she used the same insecure password on all of our sites, and she uses it and she loves it. So, but this Bitwarden account, one of the things you want to look for in a free password manager is you want it to have cross-device sync. So you want it to be able to synchronize so that you can get your password from your laptop, from your tablet, from your phone, so that you don't have to actually add that password into each different platform so that you can use it, so it will just sync all those passwords across those devices. This one does not have a password health check. Some of them do. By a password health check, that just means it would take the password you've created and it would compare it and say, is this strong, weak, or medium? You can't share passwords on this one. You can on a lot of the paid versions. It has a lot of nice features with it. As it says, it's got an intuitive interface and really sharp security on it. One of the caveats on this one, which is very unfortunate, is it does not store your master password on its servers. I mean, you may say that's great, but if you forget it, you have to delete your account and start over again. That one is kind of scary. So you basically have to make sure that you either indelibly ink that master password on your brain or have it written down somewhere, which we do not like to do. Or once you're in the account, you can go out there and you can export your password database and store it securely. And then if for whatever reason you forget that password, the master password, you can open a new account and you can import that database back in. Excuse me. Again, you can set up a two-factor login on this one. You can also use a data breach test. Now, that's different than the password health check. This is a data breach test. What it will do is it will take your personal information and it will go out to the dark web and it will look to see if your personal information has been compromised anywhere in a third-party breach. It has a free personal plan, but this one also has, it says it doesn't share passwords, but it has a free business plan that you can use. If you use that free business plan, you can get all the benefits of the single account, plus you can have an extra user account with unlimited item sharing. So in my case, I would set up, and I have set up the free business plan so that I will be able to share passwords with my spouse. And that way she and I can use the same login, whereas right in the Lastpass, we had to have separate accounts. The second one, which was best, they said, for the password audits. And this one is by auditing, it means we'll actually verify your passwords as to whether or not they're a good password or not. This is Zoho, and it has a comprehensive password assessment report. So similar to Lastpass, what this can do is once you've set it up, it will actually, within the software, there's a place where you can go and click on it, and it will tell you what your password percentage is for good passwords. It will say, okay, you have 70% good passwords, you've got many reused passwords, and it will highlight those and suggest that you change those to a different password. There is no password sharing on this one again, and it has limited options for individual users. It has strong security on it, and this one actually does have a recovery option in it, so you can recover the password. As I was looking at this one again, the free version, you cannot share passwords, but they have a version that for the individuals that you can share passwords with, and it costs $1 a month. So it's a $12 annual subscription, basically, and that will give you unlimited sharing across. So if you wanted to have the capability to share passwords with your spouse or your family, with that one account, you could do that. Nordpass. This one is very convenient for login, it says. I'm looking at it thinking it's a little bit too convenient. One of the benefits of this is Nordpass comes from Nord Security's range of products, which they've been around for a while. They basically were known for their personal VPNs. So they've taken that security and ported it over into their password security. Again, there's no password sharing on this one. You have unlimited logins and devices. It does cross-device sync. But the scary part of this one is you can use it with an account. So if you actually go to their site and you start using this without creating an account, which you think, hey, this is convenient, you get the same functionality as if you're logged into an account. But unfortunately, if you're not using an account, your data is not encrypted by the Nordpass servers, and therefore there's a risk of identity theft. So this one you have to be a little bit careful of. You have to make sure that you create an account so that you use it logged in as an account. Again, Lastpass, as I mentioned briefly, excuse me, I didn't notice the time. I'll run this a bit quicker, sorry. This was once the undisputed leader among free password managers. Since March 2021, though, they've changed their business platform. And unfortunate, too, because we really like this one. We still use it enterprise-wise because it didn't affect us. But right now, what they will do is they will allow you to do 3 switches between mobile and desktop. So they will say you can either use LastPass for just your desktop devices or just your mobile devices. You have to pick one or the other, so you can't use it in both cases anymore. So that's really kind of ruled it out for me, but it could still be used if you want it for just all of your mobile devices. It's a very good platform. Roboform is the best for the beginners, it says. I actually haven't looked at this one too much yet. It says the interface lacks polish, but then it says it's an elegant password manager, so I'm not sure. But this one has been around, I believe, the longest of all of them. I, again, haven't had a chance to review this one too much. Excuse me. Moving right along, this is the last slide. This is going on from the password managers. A lot of people say, you know, how am I going to find out this information? How am I going to stay up to date on everything that's going on out there in the world? Cyber heist news comes from a company called knowbefore.com. We use knowbefore.com for our cybersecurity training and also for our phishing tests against our staff. We send monthly phishing emails out to the staff and then track to see who clicks on it, who doesn't. And if they do click, they have to have some remedial training. Their blog tends to be a little bit more geared toward the cybersecurity training aspect rather than just telling you all of the breaches and everything that are out there. So that's why I like this one a little bit better. I share this information frequently on our SharePoint pages and the company. This one basically was just saying that there are some new phishing attacks coming out, and the phishing attacks again are phone call attacks. So what they're doing now, instead of putting links in your emails, and I've seen a lot of this lately in a lot of our phishing emails that come through, instead of putting a link in there for you to click on, they're asking you to call a number. And if you call that number, it's an account, it's a 800 number that they have that's trying to trick you into some kind of a scam. So again, just use your common email practices before you fall into one of these scams, and don't bother. I'm going to leave this up here for a little bit. Those are the free password managers above. This is the cybersecurity blogs. Again, the one that I just highlighted was the knowbefore.com. Krebs on security. Brian Krebs is a genius as far as cybersecurity. He's been around for several years. He has a very good blog, but it can be very technical at times. And he also he has exposed many companies that had breaches but weren't publicly announcing them. So he will kind of force the public announcement. So he can be a little bit technical, but he is. It's very interesting to read his information. Again, dark reading is another one. That's a very technical one. You can also go out there and just search cybersecurity blogs. There are a ton of them out there. Again, I prefer the cyber heist news ones to have people look at, only because, I'll click on this real quick. It even says in the blog, once it finishes loading, that it's security awareness training blog. And each month it has all of these items that come out. The one that I just covered with you is this one here that says phishing attacks are coming to an inbox near you. Some of these, again, are a little technical, but for the most part, it's something interesting that you can look at. It will keep you up to date on what's going on. Again, a lot of them are aimed at businesses, but if you just change the word user to your personal person, it's very pertinent information that can help you.
Mike, and Heidi, thank you. We do have a question from Louise, who asks, could you please review Ninite again? Is that how you say it, Ninite?
This is a free program. If you go out to ninite.com, and I think I'll actually just run it online for you. So you can go out there and you can select which items you want to upgrade on your computer. Now, a lot of these, if you look down through, are not used anymore. I think Winamp, I haven't seen them forever, but like iTunes, Flash, Java, Opera, Chrome, Security Essentials, again, is not used that much anymore. But you just click on the box next to the device that you want to update. And then once you're done, you click run, and it will go out and find the updates for those programs, then it will update them on your computer for you.
Mike, will it recognize the sites that or the apps that you have on your computer and run it on your behalf, or do you have to select them yourself?
You basically have to select them yourself,
okay.
Unfortunately.
No.
I mean, it's been a while since I've run it. Now, we have the enterprise version in the office, so we actually have this that goes out and runs several times during the day, and it automatically updates everything that we use. That's a little bit different, but this is a unpaid free version. So,
you know, with the holidays right around the corner and holiday shopping season being a very prime time for cyber criminals, any things in particular that you've come across that people should be keeping their eyes out for this holiday shopping season?
I think it comes back to the Facebook ads and the deals that seem to be too good to be true. Your subscription services that we talked about. So if you're looking at something, it looks too good to be true, research. If you see something on Facebook or on Snap or Instagram, great. I think it's great because there's really great things that you're going to find there, great deals. Make sure to go to their sites directly and make sure they're legitimate sites. Those links that you find on those social media pages are not necessarily sending you back to the merchant that you think you're going to. It looks like it is, but it might not be. So it's better to go to the site directly. Research your sellers. You've got Newegg and Amazon, and they're all selling merchandise on behalf of someone else. So they're make sure you know where the merchandise is coming from when you're purchasing on those different sites. eBay, you know, do a little bit of research, check the reviews for the sellers. These places are just aggregators for resellers. So they're not always going to be Amazon. Yes, sometimes you're going to click on a product and it's sold and distributed by Amazon, but other times it's going to be sold by ABC Toys and distributed by Amazon. Mm-hmm. Who is ABC Toys? You know, that's what you want to know.
And a lot of times it will say shipping is going to take an extended period of time. That's a really good indicator there's some counterfeit site off in China somewhere.
Yes. An example that I can bring up is a play set. This happened a few months ago where we had some cardholders calling because they had ordered this play set and they were going to pay in installments, but it was like 4 installments of $80 each. And this really should have been, you know, almost $1,000 play set. Well, they didn't get a play set for outside for their children. They got, you know, something else delivered in the mail that wasn't even close to what they ordered. Mm-hmm. So it really comes down to thinking about it before you buy it and looking at it and researching it. I anticipate the gift card scams coming up more and more over the holidays. Be really careful about those emails. You know, if you work in a place of business, watch for those types of emails that may be pretending to be coming from your employer or your boss saying, hey, help me out. I need some gift cards for a family member. I need some gift cards for the employees here. Can you purchase those? I'll reimburse you. Had a poor person fall victim to that not long ago, and it was a big loss. It was a really difficult conversation. So please just be careful. If somebody sends you a message like that, reach out to them directly. Go to the source before you immediately make a purchase or react to that. Slow things down a little bit, set it aside, but definitely just be wary. There's going to be a lot going around right now. The holidays are a really good time. Good point, Linda. Good question. Holidays are a tough time.
Yeah, we just recently had, I think, 25 people one day got an email from Dave, our CEO.
Yep.
And we all knew it wasn't from him, but requesting that we get him gift cards in the amount of $2,500 and get
Yep.
them to him immediately. And we're all like, who's got $2,500, even if you're going to reimburse me?
Right.
So that was obviously rather suspicious. But speaking to be careful, my wife saw a few years back these two puzzles, and she loves puzzles. We do them all the time on Facebook. And they were really great looking puzzles, great deal. We ended up getting these two stupid little puzzles that were like world map puzzles. So I tried to fight that even through PayPal. I could never even get money back on that.
Yep.
That was the other thing. As much as possible, like Heidi said, use Amazon or known sites. Amazon is very good about refunds and returns. PayPal is very good about fighting for disputes on your behalf as well. So if you can use them as well, it helps. So.
Like, there was one last question. We'll take it. Is using Google passwords safe?
Oh, the
So
Google
must be-
Authenticator? Yes.
Yeah, it
Okay,
is.
it's actually an Authenticator app, and what basically that app. Well, I wonder if I can get it to display. If you can give me just a second, I'll try, guys.
The question is, can I get some clarification on the question? Are you thinking having your web browser like Google store your password, or were you referring to the Google Authenticator that Mike is referring to?
Yeah, unfortunately, I have the capability to share my phone screen. Unfortunately, Google Authenticator will not share on there for obvious reasons, for security reasons. So,
yeah.
basically what it does is it will connect you to, if the site that you're on says it can use Google Authenticator, it will tell you to take your Google Authenticator on your phone, point it to a QR code on the screen, and it will establish a link between the two. Is what it will do. And then it will display these 6-digit codes on your machine for, like right now I have Google, I have Amazon, I have TeamViewer, I have LinkedIn, so on and so forth. And those will refresh every 30 seconds.
Okay, so it looks like Google, Mike, it looks like Google may have a password generator based on what I'm seeing in the chat right now.
Okay.
Joan's saying it will ask if I want to use Google password when I need to set up a password. Google will generate a long password.
Oh, okay.
So,
the generator is very safe, yes. It's just generating a password for you, and it does not store it. So once you copy and paste that as yours, they will not store that.
Thank you, Heidi and Mike, for sharing all of that knowledge and information. I took lots of notes myself and things I'm going to go back and check on to make sure that my computer and all is as safe as it should be. So thanks very much.